Yeah, g'day, Jayesh here. Welcome aboard. Because today I've got something quite special. Today I'm on board the BMW K 1600B. It's got this fantastic 6-cylinder engine, great tight handling chassis, luxury throughout, and a raft of high tech. I've had 2 weeks on this bike, and here's just some of the things I've learned. So let's run through a few things about the bike. First up, the motor. It's a 1649cc inline 6-cylinder, 4 valves per cylinder, oil and liquid cooled beauty. My introduction to the BMW K 1600 series of motorcycles was at the regional model launch in 2011. And even back then, his performance left me a little bit in awe. It was a wheelie monster. 11 years later, to experience the changes in the machine over that time has also been a real eye-opener. BMW claims that the 6-cylinder 4-valve engine produces 160 horsepower at 6,750 RPM and a whopping 180 Newton-meters of torque at 5,250 RPM. For a Bagger, or any large motorcycle for that matter, this is a high-performance engine. Okay, so let's talk about this motor. It's remarkable insofar as it's so smooth and it's got so much torque. And it happens right through its rev range. It will trundle along at 45 kilometres an hour like we're doing now in top gear and still pull away without any threat of lugging or any resistance from the motor. And that happens right through from 40 to warp speed. And the top gear wind on from this 6-cylinder motor, when you're going from say a 70 zone to a 100 zone, like we're about to do, is joyous. That's great. And one of the real joys of the bike is launching it. Because it's really good fun. As far as the riding mode's concerned, it will change them on the fly. Hit the button once to turn it on, hit it again, and it'll cycle up to dynamic mode, which tightens up the suspension, adjusts the suspension to the prevailing conditions, as well as improves the throttle response and gives it more oomph. It's definitely a tighter ride in dynamic mode. Hit it again, it'll go through to a rain mode, which obviously improves the traction control and softens up the throttle response. Hit it again and there's road mode. There's only 3 modes available. There are some options to adjust your suspension and damping in the vehicle menu setup, but we'll drill down into that later. It does chuck around really nicely.
And as noted, it's a 6-cylinder inline 4-stroke with 4 valves per cylinder and a bore and stroke of 72mm by 67.5mm, which gives a displacement of 1649cc at a compression ratio of 12.2 to 1. It also sounds great, even with the standard exhaust.
Gearbox and shaft drive makes a bit of noise. It's not the quietest I've ever used, but it is very sure shifting.
I haven't missed a gear change in 2 weeks.
It's all fed by BMW's electronic intake pipe injection digital engine management system, BMS-O for short. For a 1600cc engine, I thought the fuel economy was quite good, particularly when I was riding conservatively. It actually returned better than BMW's claimed 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres. With its 26.5 litre tank, 400 kilometres plus between top-ups is possible, but I didn't push it that far. But no matter how or where I rode it, I found this to be an outstanding power plant.
It's just so torquey. Pulling out of the corners is a delight.
The chassis is very well matched to this great engine.
The handling and dynamics of the bike are also quite remarkable for a 344 kilogram wet machine. It chucks around beautifully. It's got good cornering clearance, and its stability and road holding are fabulous.
That's partly due to the low-slung engine, which has a pronounced forward slant that no doubt helps with lowering the centre of mass. Same with the shaft drive.
The bike is beautifully balanced so that low speed turns and manoeuvres are just so easy because of this really nice low centre of mass. It just does have lovely balance.
It has a wheelbase of 1,618 millimetres and a rake of 62.2 degrees. And it covers a number of BMW's Dare to be Different features. The duo lever front end has a central spring strut that offers 115 millimetres of travel, and the weirdness of this system aesthetically is hidden by the bodywork from almost all angles. What it doesn't hide is that after you get used to it, it works really well. At the rear is a cast aluminium single-sided swing arm with paralever. That also has a central spring strut that offers 125 millimetres of travel, and that's not too bad for a bagger. I didn't bottom out or get any harshness from the rear end at all, and I didn't scrape anything over the tome of the test other than the toes of my boots. The cornering clearance is good, particularly in light of its overall width. The upshots of all that are:
the bike sides to sides really nicely. It is beautifully solid on the road, and for such a big girl, it tips in beautifully.
The brakes are 320mm fixed rotors with 4 piston calipers up front and single 2-piston at the rear, with full integral ABS and BMW ABS Pro. They are great stoppers, and they're all assisted by dynamic traction control.
Those brakes are just really nice. Excellent feel, feedback. Just lovely. Because it's got this BMW proprietary duo lever front suspension, what it means is that when you come into a stop, there's no dive from the front end. It just stays completely parallel to the ground.
The adaptive suspension is a feature that I also found very easy to live with. The suspension settings are electronically adjusted to suit the selected riding mode and the prevailing conditions. Softer in rain mode, medium in road mode, and noticeably stiffer in dynamic mode. I rode the bike in a variety of conditions, from country back roads to running around town to boulevard cruising to touring, and the bike didn't falter once. It remained solid, reliable, and very comfortable throughout. For a big bike, it handles remarkably well. So let's talk about the luxury items on the bike. From the screen to the seat,
This bike is just dripping with luxury inclusions.
In lieu of a normal dashboard and traditional analogue instruments, it has a high-resolution 10.25-inch 1920 by 720 TFT display that is stylish, very legible and well laid out. It can display a great deal of information by scrolling through its menus.
It's all controlled by the menu button toggle switch over here and this control ring. Okay, it's got a ton of other luxury features. The grips are heated, the seat is heated. It has central locking, as discussed. Basically hit the button over here and it centrally locks. It's got this very clever power windscreen, which allows you to dial up, dial down to the prevailing conditions. Tall guys might need a slightly higher, taller screen, but it really is a very clever addition. The saddle is amongst some of the most comfortable I've ever sat on. It really is top notch. It's an all-day saddle. Tall guys might also find that your legs are a bit folded up because in the pursuit of Bagger low saddle height, the peg to seat height is not that great, but there are taller saddle options available. That said, with the mid controls, it gives you a good position for more aggressive riding, and then when you do get into cruiser mode, it's got these lovely big footboards that you can put your feet forward, sit back, relax and roll away some distance in really good comfort. So out here on the freeway, it's just delightful. Get it up to speed, slide over to turn the cruise control on. It's got to slide it on or off, and then there's a small toggle button here to set or adjust. I also like the way that the display of what you've got the cruise control set at comes up on the information panel, and it's just a matter of if you want to crank it up a bit or drop it back a bit. Very nicely done. Wind the throttle off to turn it off, hit the brakes, hit the clutch, the cruise control disengages from there. It also has a resume function that isn't available on very many bikes. You actually pull back on the toggle control and it will resume. Indicators are traditional switch gear, left hand toggle switch left or right, and they are self-cancelling. The indicators on the bike are huge. They really are. But out here in freeway conditions, the bike is very nice. Because of this big fairing in really strong and gusty windy conditions, it does blow around just ever so slightly. It's not disconcerting, but you do get a little bit of a blow from the wind. But that said, it's very, very pleasant to be aboard. Basically, put your feet up, sit back and enjoy. These mirrors are outstanding. They are really, really good. I've got clear vision, fully back both sides, and they've got a little bit of a splay to them to add to the field of view. The lighting on the bike is superb. Okay, it's got the BMW adaptive lighting, which has the main headlight is on a gimbal, so that when you actually turn into the corner, the headlight points in the direction that you're about to take. The rest of the lights are outstanding. The driving lights, there's a button over here on the left hand block to turn the spotties on, and then the rest of the lighting is automatic. You basically go into a dark garage or something like that and on come the lights. So very, very nice luxury feature. The hill hold option on this bike works really nicely. Basically just give it a good hard press of the lever, the indicator comes on and it won't go anywhere until you release the clutch. Very nice system.
I also really liked the forged handlebars.
They are a departure from previous K1600 style and are pulled back on short rises and then turned down at the grips. I found them very comfortable for all sorts of riding. The panniers do have central locking as part of the luxury features list, and they have a 66 litre capacity, although from the outside they do look like they should hold more. They will fit an open face helmet inside, but they wouldn't accommodate any of my full face helmets. Overall, there are a number of inclusions that I haven't gone into in much detail. The test bike has optional extra Manhattan paint and classic forged wheels fitted, while the touring package of audio system ECE, floorboards, LED additional fog lights and engine protection bar are all included in the ride-away price, as is the comfort package with keyless ride, gear shift assist pro, central locking and anti-theft alarm all included. Details of which are on the BMW website, as well as some of their other customisation options.
Okay, I've made it back to my garage, and what I want to do now is have a bit of a drill down on some of the infotainment functions and trip computer functions on this bike. Now, the first and most important thing is that you have your phone with the BMW connected app up and running. Most of the navigation functions all rely on the app through the phone. So I'll turn this camera around. As you store your phone in this bin over the top of the screen to the dashboard, sits in there nice and securely in a rubber mount. Close the lid, and there's a USB-C charger in there as well, so you can charge your phone whilst it's connected via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to the infotainment system. So what you've got is a home screen that has a display for speedometer, tachometer, gear indicator, connected devices and various other data functions as well. It's also got the trip computer function over here that you scroll through to show the various trip computers. Okay, it's all run from the home screen. If I hit down on the menu button, it brings up the sub-menus. And the sub-menus include your vehicle data, radio, navigation, media, playlists, telephone function, and the various settings for the bike. Okay, if you go through the My Vehicle, hit down again on the menu, and it'll bring up the key data on the bike. Fuel range, voltage, and tyre pressures are all displayed, as well as your onboard computer, your trip computer, which is basically trip computer 1 and 2, your tyre pressures, etc., and your service requirements are all displayed through those menus. Okay, hit the menu button back up again. Your radio functions are all pretty well straightforward. It's like your car. Basically, you've got presets and various different radio functions. Navigation runs off the app on the phone. You click down and it brings up the map. You can basically plan your route through the app, and then it will display your navigation instructions on the screen, as well as read them out to you with various options to repeat the instructions, to start a route preview, to find an alternate route, all available on the fly, as well as importantly being able to skip a waypoint, which some navigation systems don't allow you to do. Okay, and then of course you can scroll in and scroll out of the map. It's very clever. Okay, hit back up again. Then you've got your media function, so you can basically have your playlist on your phone and it'll allow you to navigate through the playlist. So click down again. You can choose your audio settings, whether you shuffle your songs. You can also choose whether you output the sound to your helmet or to the loudspeakers built into the bike. Okay, so you're going back up to there. Your telephone functions naturally are basically what you get on your phone, and then the settings that you can go through to set the heated grips or so that brings us back to the home screen. Now the other thing that you can do that's very clever is again click to the right on the control wheel and it'll give you a split split screen mode so that you can show your onboard computer, your trip computer data. You can bring up the maps in split screen, as well as you bring up your playlists and your media in that mode as well. Then click back over a couple of times to the left and it brings you back to the home screen. It's very easy to read, very easy to use on the fly. That brings me to, I guess, the most common question I get asked is it a distraction on the road? And it can be. You do really need to keep your wits about you and concentrate on where you're going rather than be too busy drilling down through your playlists. But, that said, you just got to keep your wits about you. It really is a fantastic system and I've really enjoyed it. Just beware, don't get distracted by it. Keep your eyes on the road. It is reasonably well located insofar as you don't have to take your eyes off the road very far to actually view the system. It is quite well within your line of sight, but some caution necessary. But overall, what a fantastic system it is.
The last time the Australian Automotive Chamber of Commerce, the FCAI, published vehicle-by-vehicle sales data, American Bagger motorcycles filled the top 3 positions and 7 of the top 10 in the touring bike category. So it makes sense that BMW would try for a slice of that pie. What they have come up with is an outstanding motorcycle. BMW describes it as clear-cut functionality.
So over the 2-week test, I've covered just about every type of riding. I've done a heap of city cruising. I've been into the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast hinterlands. I've done some sports riding. I've done a ton of freeway. And the BMW K1600B has become one of my favourite all-time motorcycles. This is an outstanding piece of kit. It's a lot of money, but you get what you pay for. For a bagger, it's fast, it's luxurious, it's got amazing technology, and it really is a very nice motorcycle.
So there you have it. There's a quick look at the BMW K1600B. For more motorcycle videos, check out my YouTube channel. It's YouTube/Big Dave's Place, or my website, davidcohen.au. I'll see you on the road. Yeehaw!